You ever wonder why some people just seem to win over and over again? Why they have energy, focus, results, while you feel like you're stuck on repeat, grinding, frustrated, trying your best but not breaking through? Let me give it to you straight. It's not luck. It's not talent. It's not some perfect morning routine from Instagram. It's this. They made a decision to stop living life in reaction, and they took control. Real control, the kind that starts when most of the world is still sleeping. We're talking 4 a.m., not as a flex, not as some weird badge of honor, but as a line in the sand. Because when you can get your butt out of bed before the sun, before the noise, before the excuses, you don't just wake up early. You wake up with purpose. And that's the difference between people who want success and people who live it. This isn't about being a morning person. It's about being a focused person, a disciplined person, someone who's done waiting for motivation and is ready to take charge, day by day, rep by rep, hour by hour. You want to change your life? Start with your mornings. Own your mornings and you change everything. So let's break this down. 5 key reasons why successful people get up at 4 a.m. and how doing the same can completely rewire your mindset, your habits, and your results. Let's go. Look, let's be clear. Waking up at 4 a.m. isn't some magic number. This isn't about glorifying hustle culture or turning sleep into a badge of honor. This is about taking back control. You know what 4 a.m. really is? It's not a time, it's a decision. A decision that says, I'm done waiting. I'm done being reactive. I'm done watching life happen to me. I'm going to happen to life. When that alarm goes off and the world is still dark, there is a moment, a split second, where every excuse you've ever told yourself floods your brain. I'm tired. I'll do it later. One day won't matter. And here's the truth bomb. That moment is the battlefield. That's the real fight. That's where winners are made, not in the gym, not in the meeting room, in your bed, at 4 a.m., when nobody's watching and it's just you and the decision. You think successful people bounce out of bed because they're superhuman. No, they win that moment. They lean into that discomfort. They don't negotiate with the alarm clock. You've got to stop negotiating with the version of you that got you stuck. The old you is comfortable. The old you says, sleep in. The old you is broke, overwhelmed, anxious, unfocused, and waiting for the perfect time. The new you, the 4 a.m. you, that person shows up whether they feel like it or not. This is where everything changes, because 4 a.m. isn't just early, it's uninterrupted. No emails, no texts, no noise. It's you, your thoughts, your priorities, your ambition. Raw and unfiltered, you've got clarity. You've got silence, and for once you've got time. You don't need more hours in the day. You need more hours without distraction. And 4 a.m. hands it to you on a silver platter. And I get it, 4 a.m. sounds insane when you're used to pressing snooze 7 times. But let me tell you, discipline is a muscle. You don't start by running a marathon. You start by putting on your shoes. That first day, you'll hate it. That second day, still brutal. But by day 21, you've rewritten the code. You're not fighting to get up. You're fighting to stay down. Every time you get up at 4 a.m., you're casting a vote for the future you want. You're reinforcing a new identity, not the dreamer, the doer. Not the wisher, the executor. You're saying, I want this bad enough to be uncomfortable for it. And if you can do that consistently, if you can win that single decision every morning, you build proof. You build evidence that you are exactly who you say you are. We have this toxic belief that motivation is supposed to strike like lightning. Wrong. Motivation is garbage without action, and action doesn't wait for permission. You don't need to feel like doing it. You need to do it anyway. And when you do that over and over, guess what? You build trust with yourself. Self-trust, the most powerful fuel on the planet. Because here's the secret. Discipline creates freedom. The earlier you get up, the more time you own. The more control you take, the more confidence you build. You stop reacting to your life and start creating it. That's the power of deciding to rise before the rest of the world. And it's not about perfection. You'll slip. You'll fall back. But once you've tasted what it feels like to be ahead, to own your morning and therefore own your mind, going back feels like betrayal. So yes, 4 a.m. is early. But it's also yours. It's the time nobody can take from you. No meetings, no kids, no chaos. Just your goals, your priorities, and your commitment to showing up. It's the ultimate power move, not because of what it looks like, but because of what it creates. Momentum, clarity, confidence, control. And that doesn't come from wishing, that comes from deciding. Willpower is not some magical force that shows up when you need it most. It's not waiting for you at 3 p.m. when you're overwhelmed, exhausted, and 10 decisions deep. Willpower is a battery, and like every battery, it drains throughout the day. The more choices you make, the more resistance you hit, the more people pulling at your attention, the weaker that battery becomes. That's why successful people do the hardest things first, and the best time to do that, before the world gets its claws in you. You wake up at 4 a.m. and here's what you've got. A full tank of mental energy, no noise, no opinions, no distractions. That's when your willpower is fully charged. That's when you make the moves that actually matter. You want to work on your side hustle. Do it before your boss hijacks your brain with meetings and Slack messages. You want to finally get in shape. Hit the gym before your excuses start loading like pop-up ads. You want to write a book, build a brand, break the damn cycle. You do it when your willpower is untouchable. Before sunrise, before social media, before the chaos. Because let's be honest, the longer you wait, the more likely you are to talk yourself out of what matters. You start rationalizing. I'll do it after work. I'll start tomorrow. I need to be in the right headspace. No. That's your lower self hijacking your future. That's procrastination in disguise. Your brain is a master negotiator, and if you give it a window, it'll sell you a story that feels true. But it's not. It's a lie wrapped in comfort. That's why you don't wait for motivation. You don't wait for the mood to hit. You outsmart your brain. You move before the mind wakes up enough to resist. And there's something deeper going on at 4 a.m. that nobody talks about. You don't just have more willpower. You have more belief. You're not yet beaten down by the day. You haven't seen the news. You haven't opened your inbox. You haven't scrolled past 50 strangers who seem to have their lives more together than you. It's just you and your possibility. That's sacred. That's rare. That's the window where change is born, not because it's easy, but because you're not yet buried in the noise that kills momentum. Willpower is a diminishing resource. By 10 a.m., you're already tired of saying no to donuts, distractions, drama, and other people's emergencies. You think you're going to write that business plan at 7 p.m. after traffic, emails, kids, dinner, and decision fatigue. Let's stop kidding ourselves. What you do early in the morning isn't about discipline for discipline's sake. It's about setting up your brain to make fewer decisions that pull you away from what matters. You reduce friction, you eliminate noise, you automate success by locking in your most important work while you still have the power to choose it. And here's the deal, your environment at 4 a.m. is clean. Your phone isn't blowing up, nobody's asking for anything. The world hasn't started screaming yet. That silence, that's your leverage. That's the moment when you're not being pulled, you're pushing, you're ahead. You're choosing your path before anyone else lays a single brick in your day. That's psychological power. That's intentional living. And most people will never feel that because they're too busy reacting to their day instead of designing it. It's not about being a morning person. That's a myth. It's about being the kind of person who doesn't wait for ideal conditions. The kind of person who knows their willpower is strongest when it's protected, when it's guarded by time, silence, and ownership. You want to know why successful people wake up early? Because they're not gambling their goals on leftovers. They're front, loading the day with what matters most. They're putting their future on the calendar first. And when you do that consistently, something wild happens. Your confidence explodes. You're not just doing the work. You're proving to yourself that you're the kind of person who does. You want a different life. You want to finally break through, level up, stop spinning in circles, and actually make some damn progress. then you need to understand this. Your future is not built in public. It's not built in meetings. It's not built when you're surrounded by notifications and opinions and noise. Your future is built in the quiet. It's built in the hours when no one is clapping for you, when no one's watching, when it's just you and the work and the silence and the resistance you have to push through. This is where people get it wrong. They think the big moments are what define success. The promotion, the launch, the deal, the applause. No, that's the outcome. The real work happens when the cameras are off. When you're up before the world, grinding through the reps no one will ever see. The foundation is poured when it's quiet, when it's inconvenient, when there's no instant reward. That's where discipline is born. That's where focus sharpens. That's where grit grows. At 4 or 5 in the morning, when everyone else is asleep, you're not just avoiding distractions. You're creating a vacuum of clarity, where your vision finally has room to breathe. You've got ideas that have been buried under noise for years. Dreams you shelved because life got loud. That early morning silence. That's your shot to hear yourself again. To think. To plan. To create from a place that isn't influenced by pressure or comparison. You can't build a vision in chaos. You build it in stillness. This is the hour where you're free from expectation. Nobody's emailing you. Nobody's texting you. Nobody's demanding a piece of your attention. You've got complete control. Think about that for a second. How rare that is. No obligations, no distractions, just time, space, you and the things you say you want. That's sacred. And most people waste it in bed, staring at a phone, numbing out with whatever algorithm decides to serve them. You've got gold in your hands and you're scrolling through garbage. If you've ever said, "I don't have time," I want you to hear this loud. You do have time. You just gave it away to things that don't matter. You hit snooze. You stayed up watching Netflix. You let your day be stolen before it even started. The truth hurts, but it also sets you free. Because once you own that, you can change it. You can claim that quiet hour and do something with it. Build something, write something, practice, learn, plan, move. The only thing between you and the life you want is what you do when no one's watching. Do you know why most people never change? Because the silence scares them. Because being alone with your goals means you're also alone with your excuses. It's raw. It's uncomfortable. It's work without applause. And that's why it's so damn powerful. Because if you can show up consistently in that space, if you can do the hard thing when it's just you and the doubt and the quiet, then you become unstoppable. You're not doing it for validation. You're doing it for momentum. You're not waiting to feel ready. You're creating readiness through action. Success is boring. Let's just call it what it is. It's repetition. It's unsexy. It's 5 a.m. alarms, cold coffee, journaling with half your brain awake, forcing yourself to show up again and again without seeing results right away. And guess what? That's the point. That's where it all starts. You plant the seeds in silence. The world sees the tree years later and calls it an overnight success. You know better. You know how many mornings it took, how many moments of quiet discipline it demanded. The quiet hours are where the future is drafted, written in real time by people who refuse to let another day go by on autopilot, who would rather lose sleep than lose time, who are done waiting for permission and done living at the mercy of everyone else's schedule. These people get up, get to work, and trust the process, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. When you beat the sun out of bed, you're not just waking up early, you're making a statement. A loud, defiant, powerful statement to your brain, your doubts, your excuses, and the world. You're saying, "I run this." That one act, getting up before the sun, sets a tone of domination for your entire day. It's not about productivity hacks. It's about control. Control over your time. Control over your mindset. Control over the voice in your head that says just 5 more minutes. There's something primal about it. Getting up when it's still dark. That's a signal to your nervous system that you are no longer reacting. You're leading. You're not following the pace of the world. You're setting it. And that gives you a psychological edge that bleeds into everything else. You walk differently when you've already conquered your alarm. You speak differently. You respond to stress differently. You've already done something hard. You've already won a battle, and you're just getting started. Most people wait for external wins to feel confident. That's backwards. Real confidence is built in the shadows, in the uncomfortable, in those quiet, early hours where you chose to show up without needing a reason. Beating the sun is a daily proof point that you can do hard things. And not just once in a while, but on command. That matters. Because life doesn't care about your feelings. Goals don't care about your mood. The future you're after doesn't give a damn how tired you are. You either rise for it or you don't. The sun is undefeated. It shows up every single day, no matter what. And if you can rise before it, you put yourself in that same category. Consistent, committed, unshakable. And don't underestimate what that does to your self-identity. When you see that you've outpaced the sunrise, there's a shift. It's subtle, but it's real. You start thinking like someone who finishes what they start. You begin to identify as someone who's serious about their life. That's not just mindset. That's transformation. And it starts with a simple, repeatable act. Getting up when it's hard. You want to talk about energy. Let me tell you what zaps your energy. Waking up late, rushing through your morning, reacting to everyone else's urgency. You lose power the moment you start your day on defense. But if you're up before the sun, before the chaos, before the noise, you've already created a margin. You've bought yourself time. You've given your goals the first slice of your energy, not the scraps. That's psychological dominance. It's the edge that most people never tap into because they're too busy chasing comfort. And here's the kicker. The world notices. Maybe not at first. Maybe not out loud. But when you walk into a room with the energy of someone who's already won the morning, it hits differently. People feel that. They don't know what it is, but it's there. It's presence. It's certainty. It's an invisible layer of confidence that comes from doing the work when nobody asked you to, when nobody rewarded you for it. When nobody cared, you showed up anyway, and now you've got something no one can take from you, earned confidence. You don't have to be perfect. This isn't about never missing a morning or being some robotic machine. This is about momentum, identity, intention. Getting up before the sun isn't about being extreme. It's about being deliberate. It's about saying, I'm done waking up behind. Because that's what most people are doing. They're waking up already in debt. Behind on time, behind on energy, behind on purpose. But you're done with that. You're not interested in living life behind schedule. You're interested in leading, owning, dominating. So when that alarm rings and it's pitch black outside, don't see it as punishment. See it as opportunity. That moment right there, that's your training ground. That's where mental toughness is born. That's where emotional grit is forged. Not in books, not in motivational videos, but in real life with real decisions. You beat the sun once, and it's just an early morning. You beat the sun every day, and it becomes part of who you are. That's where the edge lives. Not in the light, but in the dark. You want real freedom. Not surface-level comfort, not scrolling your way through dopamine hits, not short-term relief, but actual, life-altering, deep-rooted freedom. Then you better get used to being uncomfortable. Because everything you want, every goal, every breakthrough, every version of you that's stronger, smarter, wealthier, healthier, it all lives on the other side of consistency in discomfort. That's the door. And most people never walk through it because they think discomfort means something's wrong. No, discomfort means you're on track. The alarm goes off at 4 a.m. and it sucks. Your body aches. Your brain wants to negotiate. That's discomfort. But when you show up anyway, that's power. That's how you take back control. That's how you separate yourself from 99% of people who keep waiting for it to feel right, look right, sound right. Stop waiting. It's never going to feel right, and that's the trap. Believing you have to feel ready in order to move. You don't. You just have to move anyway. Most people treat discomfort like a stop sign. They feel resistance and immediately tap out. I'm too tired. It's too hard. I'm not built for this. and then they wonder why they feel stuck. Here's the truth. Discomfort is the toll you pay for change. It's the currency. You want a better body. Get comfortable being sore, being disciplined, being the person who says no to what used to control you. You want financial freedom. Get used to saying no to stuff that drains your money. Get used to being the one doing the work when it's inconvenient. You want mental peace. Get uncomfortable with silence, with facing your own thoughts, with breaking patterns that have kept you safe but stuck. The people who win in life are not the most talented. They're not the luckiest. They're not the most motivated. They're the ones who show up when it's hard, who keep going when it's boring, who push through when it's uncomfortable. Discipline isn't sexy. It's not glamorous. It's showing up tired, frustrated, overwhelmed, and doing it anyway. That's the stuff nobody wants to talk about. Everyone's looking for hacks, for shortcuts. But here's the truth. Consistency and discomfort is the shortcut. It just doesn't feel like one, because when you lean into that discomfort enough times, something shifts. You stop fearing it. You start expecting it. You even start using it. It becomes your compass. You feel the resistance, and instead of running, you charge, because now you know. This is where the change happens. This is where average people quit and you don't. This is where the old version of you would fold, and the new version takes over. That's growth. That's transformation. And it doesn't happen in comfort. It never has. It never will. Comfort is the enemy of progress. You already know this. You've felt it. You've had moments where you chose easy, and it cost you momentum. You procrastinated. You numbed out. You hit snooze. You skipped the reps. And the worst part, you knew it. You knew you were betraying your future self. That's the sting. That's the discomfort that actually matters. Not the hard work, but the regret that comes when you avoid it. So now you flip the script. You train yourself to lean into the hard things. Not once in a while, not when you feel inspired, but daily. You make it non-negotiable, and the wild thing, the more consistently you show up in discomfort, the more freedom you build. Freedom to move your body how you want. Freedom to say no to toxic people. Freedom to leave that job. Freedom to back yourself. It's not about hustling for the sake of it. It's about training yourself to trust that you can handle anything. Because that's what consistency gives you. Trust, not in outcomes, but in yourself. You become the kind of person who doesn't fold, who doesn't chase easy, who doesn't crumble under pressure. And that creates momentum no one can give you and no one can take away. Discomfort becomes your training ground, and every time you show up in it, you're not just building grit. You're building freedom.